So good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's live lab. Today we are going to be talking about documentation. That's one of the assessments that y'all have been working on, or going to be working on the next couple of days, has to do with documentation. I haven't covered too much on the clinical stuff that y'all have been working on because that's probably not something you're going to deal with a lot, if ever. So I'm going to focus on the things that I know you're going to deal with on a regular basis. And everybody's got to know about documentation, regardless of what type of job position you acquire. Okay. All right. So I'm going to start off. I've got like 2 slides, and then we're going to do something together. All right, so can you guys see that? Documentation. All right, it is vital to document every patient record interaction, regardless of how insignificant you might think it is. Always document the actions you took thoroughly. Always include. And these are like the 6 things that are every time without fail, okay? You got to have a date. And some systems, when you do an entry, it automatically attaches a date to it. But just in case, if your system doesn't do that, be aware and put the date of what you're doing on it. Actions, what you did and why. What working AR report, working aging report, working denied claims. This is why I'm in this account. This is what I did. I called the insurance company. I blah 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 blah. Reference numbers. Most insurance companies, not all, give reference numbers. And it's really funny when you call as a patient and you ask them for a reference number. They get real nervous. Because, who knows to ask for a reference number? And I'll tell y'all, I spent 3 hours on the phone with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Louisiana yesterday and Express Scripts and my HR department because my benefits are all janky at the moment. But I had to get it straightened out because I can't get my meds until I do get it straightened out. So, but anyway, reference numbers. Get your reference numbers. If they don't give you a reference number, if they say they don't provide them, get their name. And you don't need their full name, just their first name and maybe the last initial. If they're willing to give it, and the date. You can use that as a reference number if they say they won't provide one. The phone numbers that you reached, whoever you reached at, the phone numbers that you called. If you called a number and it didn't work, notate that. And that way, the next time you go to work it, you don't waste time calling that number again. Okay? Put the number you had success on, any you tried that were failures. Update your sticky notes if you find a new number for a good source. And that was one thing, y'all. The cheat sheets and notes around your desk will be massive for phone numbers. I'm not going to say logins and passwords. You save those on your thing. But there will be stuff everywhere. Okay? Because you're going to have to access so much stuff. Claim numbers. If you're working a denied claim, you're working off of an EOB, there's going to be a claim number on there. You want to record that in the notes. Okay? Name of anyone you spoke with. Like I said, you're always going to want to at least get that representative's name, if nothing else, like the reference number. All right? And we have a statement in medical billing and coding, in medical offices in general. If it's not documented, it didn't happen. Okay? So, y'all will hear me say that a ton throughout this program because it's the absolute truth. All offices go by it. If it is not documented, it didn't happen. It didn't happen. And a lot of the times when you call an insurance company, if you don't have a reference number to give them, your previous conversation didn't happen either. That's why you get that reference number. So they have something to go back and look at. They can pull a transcript or the call log or whatever they need to pull if you have to call back. Okay? Let's see. We're going to go to our next one right here. So why do we do this? Why is this so important and why do we harp on it like we do? The reason why The number one reason why, CYMIA. Keeping my job safe. I'm covering my butt. I put in what they told me. I put in my response. I put in everything. I probably over-notate stuff, to be honest with you. But especially if you have a negative interaction with somebody, if you end up having to end a call on a patient, you better notate the mess out of that, okay? And be very clear about it. And then you may even want to, if you're in a situation like that, you're going to want to take that directly to a supervisor. You're going to want to talk to your boss, because there's every chance that person's going to call back and ask to talk to your boss and say, so-and-so hung up on me. It's better that your boss know up front, hey, I had this call, he got crazy, I did what I did. And that's, and 9 times out of 10, your boss is going to have your back on that. And when they call back, they're going to say, no, sir, you're not going to speak to my employee that way. At least I've been blessed enough to have some really good, supportive supervision that always, as long as they knew what was going on, they had my back, okay? Ease of verification for things, all right? And what I mean by that is, say you have an EOB that you're working off of, you're working denied claims or something, and you put what codes in the notes that it was denied for. You put in the notes what it was denied for. Somebody else gets on the phone with them, they may, like if the insurance company calls to ask a question or something like that, and you don't have your notes right in front of you or something, you can look, it's right there in their account, right? So you're able to easily verify dates, amounts, claim numbers, whatever you may need, insurance IDs, whatever you may need to verify, it's all there in the notes, okay? And tying in with that is workflow efficiency. You don't have to tell somebody, hold on while I dig out my notes. Hold on while I pull this document. Hold on while I look at this file. It's all, you can probably flip a tab, usually is what it is. Go to the notes on that account and see, oh no, I called blank blank on blank blank and they said blah. And this is the reference number for that call. It's going to save you some time if you don't have to go searching for things, okay? Legal issues. These last two tie together too. Legal issues. And you see I have a little picture of a little audit there. Medical offices, billing offices do get audited quite a bit. They really do. Tax stuff, because we handle money. Medicare, governmental compliance, federal compliance on laws, HIPAA compliance. All of that's legal stuff that ties together. And the more we have documented, the more our A is covered and the more your company's A is covered, okay? For anything that may come up, like an audit or a legal issue or something like that. If you ever get on the phone with a patient and they ask you to do something illegal, because they will ask you to refile a claim wrong intentionally, so they can pay less or not pay anything at all. They will ask you to write off whatever, and depending on your job title and where you are in the totem pole, you may or may not have the authority to do that. That can get you fired if that's not part of your job function. And you will have a clear understanding of where your limits lie. Your supervisor will make it very clear what you can and cannot adjust or take off or things like that. I wasn't a payment poster, but after working there for several years, I did get to the point where if there was no money involved, they would let me put in adjustments and things like that, because I understood what I was doing. After a couple of years of working in it, I understood what those amounts meant and where they needed to go correctly, and I was good about it. Not everybody in my job position was allowed to do that because they didn't quite understand it the way that I did. So the better you understand, and that's why we go over insurance and how to do the percentages and what adjustments are. That's why we go over that so much, so you guys are comfortable with that. But that's why documentation is so important. It comes down to, compliance. Let's talk about that for a second, because we talked about the legal stuff, and compliance does fall into that, but it's a whole nother thing. Like, even at Unitech, we have compliance that we have to do. Like my attendance, that's done because of compliance. We have to maintain a record of you guys being in class a certain amount of hours in order for the people that give us our accreditation to say, okay, you're an accredited school. That's part of, we have to be compliant to their regulations of the accreditation board, okay? And they regulate that we have to take attendance, and they regulate that to complete this program, you have to attend a certain amount of hours, and you have to, graduate with a certain amount of hours. And we have to be compliant, or we get put out of business. We'll get fines, and then eventually we would get put out of business if they, and we get audited every single year, every 12 months. Our documentation is audited. We have to send in, did you send progress reports for the month of March 2024? Please send the ones for this student, and it's random. This student, this student, this student. Please send us the grade book for such and such a module, and they want the entire grade book. They want to see everybody's grades and what we marked wrong, and what we gave points, and where we gave points. And, we get looked at. But that's part of being compliant, is being open to that scrutiny. It's part of the job. So, same thing in medical billing. You're open to the scrutiny. Your office could be audited at any time by any number of, it's usually a governmental entity. The most audits that I see are Medicare. They come and look at our Medicare claims. And they go back a certain number of years and look at every single one, every single EOB, and make whatever adjustments they feel they need to make. That's the most common audit that I see is Medicare audits. But there are other kind. But so that's why we do it, because legally we gotta. All right, so I'm gonna stop that one, and I'm gonna share with y'all one more thing. Any questions about documenting accounts or things like that? Have y'all seen in Moss on the patient accounts where there are sections for documenting, note taking, and stuff like that? Good. It's just like that. It's a really good example of how an EHR system functions and all the different things it can do. It's really good. It's just like what you guys are going to see in the office. All right, so I'm going to share one more time. All right, so last week, I think it was, we had talked about Microsoft Excel and how handy dandy that is when you're working on stuff like reports and different things. So here is something, can y'all see my spreadsheet there? Here's something that can be very, very helpful to you guys, and something that will save you some time and help you be a little more efficient and whatnot. I'm gonna move this. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but I'm gonna move it. All right, so what I'm going to do, you remember sheet 1, we had all these different insurance companies, and we kind of wanted to break it down. So we created this second tab, and we named it Cigna to do the Cigna claims, and we put just those patients there, right? All right, so let's say that I am going to work on this list one day. The first thing I'm going to do for this, and you see you have the patient ID, patient name. It gives you all your basic info, some of your balances and blah, blah, blah. All the different things, right? And what category you're in. I am going to simply click into this last box, and I'm going to type notes. And I'm going to click enter, and it's going to add me a column that says notes. And as I work these accounts, as I go down this list or however I do it, I'm going to click into this notes field once I'm done working on this account. And sometimes you may get efficient enough where you will type notes while you're on the phone having a conversation. As people are saying things, spitting claim numbers at you or dates of service, you're typing it in. I can type pretty fast, so sometimes I could do that. I much prefer to write everything down because I can write faster than I can type. And then it's everything's right there in front of me. And I read stuff back to people when they tell you stuff too. Claim numbers and phone numbers and ID numbers. Let me make sure I got that correct. Read it back. Okay. But so I'm going to come in here and I'm going to make my little note. 7/10/25. Working insurance aging report. And you can abbreviate the crap out of this stuff, okay? Insurance aging report called Cigna at 800 whatever. Spoke with Bobby Sue. Reference number blah 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 blah. Rep stated. Claim denied, no auth. States provider is out of network. I'm just gonna non-participating in their plan. All right, so, and then I would just continue to type whatever else. At that point, I would get in touch with there's ways that you can verify whether or not a doctor is in network with the company or not, or whether or not the claim is payable per their provider NPI and billing information, okay? So at that point, you would go and verify that that doctor is in fact participating, and then you would go from there, all right? I generally would hang up at that point, find out what information I needed to find out, and then call back and say, hey, I spoke to Bobby Sue. This is the reference number. She was telling me the claim denied for no authorization, but I went online or wherever I went. I spoke with whoever I spoke to, or I looked at whatever I looked at, and the doctor does show participating in this patient's plan. Can you please reprocess this claim? And they're either going to tell you yes or no. Most of the time it's going to be yes. And they will send it back for reprocessing. So you're going to notate all that. Called back and spoke to Ravi. Speak to a lot of Ravis. Ravi, reference number, because you're going to get another one. Blah, 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 blah. Is sending back for reprocessing and that's probably it, because I would have also notated what I looked up, how I found out that the provider was in par. I would research blah blah blah, y'all get it, all the steps, right? Sending back for reprocessing. All right, so there's that. So here's the thing. I like to be able to see all of my notes. I like to look at one screen. I don't want to scroll over to look at nothing, okay? So little tip here. You click on this box where your note is. There's this wrap text button up here at the top. And it just takes your long line and it shoves it all together onto that page, okay? So while that looks funny right now, you can read all your note in one little spot. But I am OCD a little bit, apparently, because I can't stand this here. All this blank space and that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to highlight these boxes. And I'm going to take, you have like your alignment tools up here. And I'm going to just align it to the top, because I want it on the top line there. Okay. And your notes for the next one may not be as big. And here's the other thing. Once you have this in here, copy and paste it directly into the notes section of the patient's account. Just copy, click, Control C, click over to wherever, whatever screen, and the keyboard shortcut is Control V, and there's all your notes there again. Wherever you want them. So that is just a tidbit for kind of organizing, because when you're working these reports and you have all these accounts in a system, right? Digital. Any questions about this before I stop the share on that? Or anything y'all want to see or do? Anything in Excel? Okay. Couldn't stop the share. All right, so you got to think about it this way. All right, all of these accounts are in a computer system. You have no way of seeing them physically to know what you need to work on. You've got to figure out, and these reports are how we do that, how we figure out the accounts we need to work. We pull the reports, by specific parameters, and we go from there, figuring out what we need to work, and what the priorities are, based on timeliness, dollar balance, however you're choosing to work on it. So a lot of what we do is judgment call. So you got to be able to look at the information in front of you and kind of decipher what needs to be done or what step needs to be taken next. But long story short is document everything you do. Document everything you do. Like I said, Excel for me, it's like the GOAT of software. It's my GOAT because I can do anything in there. I can organize any data that I want, any way that I want. Okay, and you can do the same thing. It's not a hard program to get used to once you get into it and you start kind of playing with it a little bit. Okay, and like I said, guys, there are YouTube tutorials and information out there. Microsoft themselves, you can go on their website and watch their training videos and stuff like that. There's a plethora of resources out there for learning this stuff. So just be a sponge for the next however long you're still with me, and just get as familiar with it as you can. Right now I have a graduated student who's certified, and I've kind of gotten myself to, usually I do not step into the career services lane at all, but we are understaffed in career services right now. So I'm trying to help out. I'm lead instructor, so they kind of expect me to step up when it's needed, right? So we have a shortage in a department, and while it's completely outside my lane, not something I have any experience with whatsoever, I'm gonna step in and do the best I can to lend a hand, right? So I've got one of my graduates who is actively seeking a position, and we're going through. Yesterday we were working on her resume, getting it polished up. 1 second, guys. And she sent me her resume, and I'm working on it with the other instructor, Miss Danielle, because Miss Danielle, y'all, Miss Danielle knows how to do some stuff. Her LinkedIn profile, that woman's got connections all over in medical billing and coding all over the country. I mean, and get yourself a LinkedIn profile if you don't have one already. That's the big thing. We're setting my student up a LinkedIn profile. We polished up her resume yesterday. She emailed Miss Danielle and set up a mock interview, so she can get comfortable with some of those, tell me about yourself. The horrible questions that are so hard to say that you think everything you say is going to be wrong. Like, I don't feel like I'm very interesting. What do you want me to tell you? I like to read, play with my kid a lot. I'm a Harry Potter fan. But so she helps, she's going to help her get comfortable with that. But what I loved, one of the things she did, she actually took her resume, copied and pasted it into ChatGPT, and told ChatGPT to put this together better for me. And y'all, it did the thing. It did the thing. Like I said, when we in this industry, in medical billing and coding at Unitech, we use every resource we have available to us, and ChatGPT is a great resource. It is a great resource. Now, not everybody understands that AI like that has limitations. It's not, there's always going to be, for the information it's providing you, there's always going to be a cutoff date of, it's not going to get, whenever they release it, it's only going to have information up to that date. Anything newer than that, it's not going to be giving you that information. So that's why you can't use it for everything. Like, people are afraid it's going to take over the world and take jobs. It can't do that. It can't do that. So don't be scared of it. Use it. It's a tool. It's a tool. I use it for writing emails. I use it for writing presentations. We use it for resume polishing, apparently. That was something I didn't know. But I'm going to, God, Lord help me, I ain't trying to go nowhere, but should something happen to my job, I will be using it to polish mine. Because it sounded good. It sounded real good. Like, hold on a second. I would like to read y'all just a piece of it, because it talked about the training program and the experience, and the way it was worded, it was just fabulous. All right, so motivated and detail-oriented medical billing and coding graduate with hands-on experience acquired through intensive career training. I wouldn't have come up with a sentence like that. Okay, skilled in ICD-10, CPT, HCPCS coding, insurance claims processing, and electronic health record systems. Demonstrated ability to manage the revenue cycle, apply HIPAA compliant practices, and ensure accurate, timely reimbursement. Ready to contribute to a dynamic healthcare team and support efficient billing operations.
I would have never came up with something like that.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Exactly. Okay? Okay. And then when it goes to relevant, they added in a relevant experience. Because she doesn't have practical experience. She's never worked in a medical office. Relevant experience. Medical billing and coding externship experience. That's what MOS is. It's basically an externship. It's giving you exactly what you're going to be doing on the job a lot of the time. Okay? So we can list that on your resume as an externship experience. Okay? And it lists Unitech. She got her MOA certification, so we have that on there. But then completed a comprehensive hands-on training program equivalent to real-world experience in a medical billing office setting. I was like, wow. Because one of the biggest struggle that my students have is people want somebody with experience. There's not a ton of people who will hire billers and coders fresh. You're going to have to, in a lot of my cases, you get your foot in the door some kind of other way and you work into it. After you learn, especially if you haven't worked in a medical office before, it's hard to get hired directly into a billing and coding position because they do want some type of medical office experience. But get your foot in the door any way you can. Like I said, when I started my first job, I scanned all day. I sat in a cubicle for 8 hours and I fed file after file into a flipping scanner and named documents and hit enter. And I scanned and I named and I hit enter. And it was horrible. I hated it. I hated it. But after a few weeks of doing that, they started handing me other tasks to do and I moved up from there. Okay? And it doesn't take long. It doesn't take long, and it will take y'all even less time than it took me, because you won't have to get on the phone with the insurance company, hang up, look around and go, what's an NPI? I don't know what an NPI is. I knew nothing. Absolutely nothing. Nothing. So y'all are going to be way ahead of the game. But if we get these resumes worded nicely like this, y'all, invaluable, I think. Accurately assigned ICD-10, CPT, and HCPCS codes to medical diagnosis procedures for claim submission. Reviewed and analyzed insurance EOBs, explanation of benefits to determine reimbursement and patient responsibility. We've done all that. We've done all that. There's none of this that's inaccurate. It's just the way it's worded. It's making it more clear about the hands-on experience that y'all have. It's expressing that more than any way I could have thought to word it, for sure. So, demonstrated proficiency in verifying insurance eligibility. Utilize medical billing software to enter patient demographics, charge information, and payment data. It's great. ChatGPT, y'all. ChatGPT. That's all I can say for your resume. Just give it a go. There's a free version. But I will tell you, almost all of the instructors, we have premium accounts because we use it. Yeah. So.
Do y'all help with the resume? Like whenever with career services, do we get help with the resume?
Yeah. You would send it into a career services representative towards the end of when you get closer to the end. Let's see, where do you finish, Erica? 10/28. So sometime in the next 30 days or so, if you want to get started on that, you can send it. Like I said, we are short-staffed in medical bill in the career services department right now. So I'm helping out with a couple of particular students that they have assigned me to help out with. I don't get to pick and choose. They have a list that they're going off of, and assigning me and making me reach out to the student and see if they want my help or not. But yeah, if you send me your resume, I'll help you polish it up. In the meantime.
I have one on LinkedIn. Can I send you that one?
Huh?
I have a LinkedIn account. I have one on LinkedIn. Can I send you that one?
You can. Why don't you wait at the end of this month, we're going to be doing the professional development module, and it's all about job seeking skills and etc. Getting that professional air about you. And the final for that module is to submit me your resume.
Okay.
So, and I think the first assignment is start forming a cover letter, and then the final test for that module is submit me your finished resume in one PDF document. One PDF document. You got to figure out how to, and I've had a couple students, I don't know if y'all noticed, but there was a couple of assignments where I missed the settings to let you just type in your answer, and you had to upload a file or something. And I actually had students complain about that. And I was like, type up a document and upload it. You got to learn how to do that anyway. You need to know how to do that anyway. So feel free. I'm not changing that setting. Let's just say that one's different. We're doing a new thing that time. Okay. But yeah. So y'all will all be sending me your resumes anyway in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Yep. Fun stuff.
And I missed last week because my daughter was in the hospital. She had her kidney surgery last week.
Oh, how's she doing?
She's good. Girl, back to her old self and sassy.
Good. You got a sassy one
like
with me? I'm sorry.
Raising a miniature version of yourself.
Girl, my husband tells me all the time to go deal with myself.
At the beginning, and we're not going to be using Zoom anymore?
For now, we are. Like I said, I'm not changing from Zoom until we get the kinks worked out. and the kinks are not worked out yet. So we're gonna continue with Zoom, but I am gonna stop posting stuff on Remind.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go ahead and disable that account, or close that class. I'm not sure. I've never closed one on there, so we'll see how that goes. But I won't be sending out the links and the links to the videos anymore on there.
Okay.
Everything will be on that Zoom, as far as Zooms, on that Zoom tab in Moodle, and any major announcements will be, posted right below my info thing.
Okay.
Yep. Like I said, in Teams, just search my email address. Just search my email address. That's right on the homepage already, but I'm going to post it bigger with a
Okay.
Teams thing for everybody. So, excellent questions, ma'am. Excellent questions. Anything else before we hop out of here for the day, guys?
No, ma'am.
All right, awesome. Well, you guys have a great weekend. And let's see. I didn't do any announcements because there really aren't anything major other than Remind going away. That was really it. Just keep rocking it, guys. Be safe out there.
You too, Miss Brandy.
All right, y'all have a good weekend.
You too.
Bye bye.
Bye.